Two officers on your doorstep just after 9. Nobody's angry. Nobody's accusing you of anything. One of them smiles and says, "Won't take a minute. Mind stepping out here?" Nobody's angry. Nobody's accusing you of anything. Here's what you're not being told. Your front door is the single strongest legal position you have in this country. Not your car. Your car they can search on a hunch. Your door they generally can't cross at all. No warrant, no arrest, no emergency, no entry. Which is exactly why what happens next isn't a conversation. Your door they generally can't cross at all. No warrant, no arrest, no emergency, no entry. Which is exactly why what happens next isn't a conversation. It's 5 specific tricks, each built to get you to hand over the one thing they can't take by force, the threshold you're standing on. You'll see all 5 in the order they come. You'll see all 5 in the order they come, and the one line that beats every one of them. The first trick starts before you've said a single word, with where the officer is standing. Coco versus the Queen. Any power to do what would otherwise be trespass must be written in unmistakable and unambiguous language. Unmistakable. Unambiguous. And at an ordinary doorstep, on an ordinary night, there usually isn't one. Which means the ladder here runs differently. Cross the threshold, or let a boot in, or say, "Sure, come in." And you've converted the strongest protection you have into the weakest, in one word. So here's the deal. 5 tricks, one line that beats all 5, and I'll hand you the line before the end. At the car, reasonable suspicion alone opens a boot on the side of a highway. At your door, the High Court of Australia has drawn the line in stone. Coco versus the Queen. Any power to do what would otherwise be trespass must be written in unmistakable and unambiguous language. Unmistakable. Unambiguous. And at an ordinary doorstep, on an ordinary night, there usually isn't one, which means the ladder here runs differently. Cross the threshold, or let a boot in, or say, "Sure, come in." And you've converted the strongest protection you have into the weakest, in one word. So here's the deal. 5 tricks, one line that beats all 5. And I'll hand you the line before the end, in one word. So here's the deal. 5 tricks, one line that beats all 5. And I'll hand you the line before the end. 2 warnings on the way. One of these 5 tricks is sometimes real, and I'll show you how to tell the genuine emergency from the bluff, because getting that wrong is dangerous. And the 5th is the one even careful people fall for, because it wears a good reason. But the first trick is already happening, in where the officer just put his feet. Quick word before the door. No invented career on this channel. Just plain English Australian law, checked line by line against the statutes. Every section from tonight in the description. And straight up, most officers knock for real reasons, and some of those knocks save lives. New South Wales, 2023. 2 officers climb a padlocked gate, pass signs that specifically name police, and stand on a woman's property. For 3 minutes. Maybe 5, that's all. That's the entire incident. Romani versus New South Wales. The Supreme Court called it what it was, trespass, and ordered the state to pay $18,334. The system pays quietly when the 4 doorways aren't there. And every trick coming at you now is one of those 4 faked. Trick 1, the step back. Just step out here and we'll sort this out. Now do the maths on your actual doorway. If 5 minutes past a gate costs the state 18 grand, Crossing your threshold without a power is not a grey area. It's an invoice waiting to be written. But before the tricks, you need the short list of when they genuinely can come in. Because every trick you're about to see is that list, counterfeited. There are exactly 4 real doorways into your home. So take them in full. 1. A warrant. A document signed naming your address. 2. An arrest. In New South Wales, Section 10 of LEPRA lets police enter a dwelling to arrest someone they reasonably believe is inside. Victoria sets the bar at a serious indictable offence. Under Section 459A, Queensland's Section 21 runs the same way. 3. A genuine emergency. Section 9, a real risk of significant injury to someone right now. That's the whole list. No 5th doorway exists. And here the hard line early. No laminated sign, no sovereign phrase, no "I do not consent." Sticker adds 1 or removes 1. Shouting the law at a genuine emergency power doesn't dissolve it. It just adds a charge to your evening. 1 number for the scale of police inventing doorways. New South Wales Police spent around $24 million settling nearly 300 civil claims in a single year. False arrest, trespass, assault, as reported by The Guardian. The system pays quietly when the 4 doorways aren't there. And every trick coming at you now is one of those 4 faked. Starting with the one that doesn't fake a doorway at all. The system pays quietly when the 4 doorways aren't there. And every trick coming at you now is one of those 4 faked. Starting with the one that doesn't fake a doorway at all. And as he says it, watch his feet. Because he's taking a half step backwards off your porch, inviting you forward. Inside your dwelling, the law stands between you and an arrest. Section _10 requires a reasonable belief you're inside, and the dwelling itself is the barrier. The moment your feet cross the threshold, that barrier is gone. Out in the open, a street arrest under Section 99 is the simple kind, and the second you're arrested, Section 27 lets them search you right there on your own front path. Understand what just happened in that trade. He didn't gain a single power. You walked out of one. The wrong instinct is the polite one, stepping out to seem reasonable, to keep the peace. The counter costs you nothing. I'm happy to talk. I'll stay inside my doorway. Notice what that is. Not rude, not a refusal, a location. The conversation continues. Only the geography holds, because the threshold isn't a formality. It's the entire game. And trick 1 is designed to make you forget it's under your feet. But if you won't come out, trick 2 brings the entry to you. 1 boot at a time. Trick 2, the foot in the door. Mid-sentence, casually, a boot eases across your threshold. Or it's raining, and mind if I just step in out of this? And he's half inside before the sentence ends. Don't mistake it for clumsiness. It's a fait accompli, an entry with no power named, betting everything on you being too awkward to object. Coco answers it directly. Every unauthorised entry onto private property is a trespass. Now the dangerous part, because the wrong instinct here can wreck you. Do not shove the door onto his foot. Do not push him back. The moment your hands touch an officer, you've handed him the arrest he didn't have. The counter is words, and only words. Officer, your foot's across my doorway. If you don't have a power to enter, please step back. Look at what those 3 sentences do on his own body-worn camera. Everything a court will want to hear later, recorded by his own chest. And when the boot doesn't work, Trick 3 stops pushing entirely. It starts asking for the one thing that makes all of this legal. Everything a court will want to hear later, recorded by his own chest. And when the boot doesn't work, trick 3 stops pushing entirely. It starts asking for the one thing that makes all of this legal. Trick 3. It'll be much easier if you just let us come in and have a look. Warm, reasonable, almost a favour to you. Here's what almost nobody standing in that doorway knows. At most doorsteps, your consent is the only thing that could make entry lawful. There's no warrant in his hand, no arrest, no emergency, which means he's not asking for a courtesy. He's asking for the power itself. This channel spent a whole video inside the vehicle version of this trap. The case is called Leonard. It's pinned below and it gets one line tonight. Consent can turn an unlawful search into a lawful one. Consent can turn an unlawful search into a lawful one. Same mechanism, now at your front door, where the stakes are your whole house. The counter is 4 words with no warmth to misread. I don't consent to you coming inside. Flat, calm, final. And watch the watchdogs on this one. Complaints about police conduct in New South Wales keep climbing, year on year, and doorsteps are where a share of them begin. When consent fails, trick 4 stops asking altogether. It starts asserting. Trick 4. We've got the right to come in. We don't need a warrant for this. No section named. No power stated. Just tone. Flat, certain, procedural. Here's the lever they don't expect you to know exists. In New South Wales, sections 201 and 202 of LEPRA require that when police exercise a power like entry, they must, if you ask, give you their name, their place of duty, and the reason. The reason. Which means the question isn't cheeky. It's their statutory homework, and you're allowed to ask for it. The wrong instinct. Folding because they sound certain. A uniform plus confidence feels like authority. But a feeling isn't a power, and certainty isn't a section. The counter, paid right now. Which power are you relying on to enter officer? Then watch. An officer holding a real power names it in a heartbeat. Section, purpose, done, and you comply. An officer bluffing suddenly softens, changes the subject, checks his notebook. And the honest edge, because this channel names its limits. An officer failing to answer doesn't automatically make everything unlawful. But an officer who cannot name a power has just told you everything a court will later want to know. Which leaves the 5th trick, the only one that might be real. Trick 5, the welfare card. We've just had a call. Someone's worried about you. We need to check everyone inside is okay. Hold both halves of this one, because this trick has a real twin. Sometimes that sentence is true. Section 9 gives police a genuine power to enter, where there's a real risk of significant injury to someone inside. And when it's real, they can come in, and they should, and you want them to. But welfare is also the easiest pretext in the book, because it manufactures its own emergency out of nothing but a phone call. So how do you tell the twin from the trick? The High Court answered it. Roy versus O'Neill. The license to walk up and knock stretches to a genuine welfare check, but not where the real purpose is simply to get at the person inside. And George versus Rocket sets the bar for reasonable grounds. Roy versus O'Neill. The license to walk up and knock stretches to a genuine welfare check, but not where the real purpose is simply to get at the person inside. And George versus Rocket sets the bar for reasonable grounds. Actual facts, enough to move a reasonable person. Never a hunch wearing concerns clothing. The counter is one question, and it separates the real from the fake in a single breath. Is someone believed to be in danger right now? If not, I don't consent to you coming in. And the carve out said plainly, no hedging. If it's real, a family violence call, a child at risk, a medical emergency, you stand aside every time, immediately. The question tests the power. It never, ever blocks a genuine one. 5 tricks, all seen. Now the one line that answers every single one. The threshold strip is under your feet. You stay behind it. And you say it, even and unhurried. Which power are you exercising, officer? I'm staying inside, and I don't consent to you entering. Again, slower, because the second pass is the one that stays. Which power are you exercising, officer? I'm staying inside, and I don't consent to you entering. Save this screen. Say it once tonight, standing in your own doorway, so it arrives as memory and not invention. Now every clause and which trick it kills. Which power are you exercising? Trick 4, beaten. Sections 201 and 202 make naming the power their job, not your guess. And a question can never be obstruction. I'm staying inside. Tricks 1 and 2, beaten together. The threshold held, the dwelling protection kept, Section 10 still standing exactly where the law built it, between them and you. Staying put is not resisting. It never was. I don't consent to you entering. Trick 3, beaten. The one thing that could make entry lawful, withheld out loud on their own camera. And against trick 5, the same line does double duty. Because if the answer to your question is a genuine emergency power, you have your answer and you step aside. The High Court's words, one more time. Authority to cross your threshold must be unmistakable and unambiguous. So make them show it or hold your line. And the trained voice across from you has exactly 2 ways to push on that line, both already answered. Push 1 is the guilt lever. If you've got nothing to hide, why won't you let us in? You don't reach for it. Same words, same calm. Which power are you exercising, officer? I'm staying inside and I don't consent to you entering. Push 2. The pressure lever? Being difficult just makes this worse for you, mate. It doesn't. And the line doesn't bargain with weather. Same line, same tone. That's your third hearing, which means it's muscle now. That was always the design. Now watch one clean run, start to finish. Illustration, not a case. Porch light, 2 officers. The smile. Won't take a minute. Step out here for us. Happy to talk, officer. I'll stay in my doorway. A beat. Bit easier if we come in. Which power are you exercising? I'm staying inside, and I don't consent to you entering. A longer beat. The kind that happens when there wasn't a power, just a knock and a hope. We'll leave it there. Have a good evening. Boots down the path, getting quieter. Read what just happened correctly. Nothing in it was defiance. A person gave the law everything it was owed and gave away nothing it protects. But there's a fork past this point, and one arm of it is the night the power turns out to be real. If they name a real power, I'm entering under Section 10 or a genuine Section 9 emergency. You don't fight it. You say one thing, I don't consent, but I won't obstruct. Then every argument moves to a courtroom where Romani's $18,000 and every payout like it prove the argument is worth having there and never in your hallway. And the carve out one final time. Because it's the half that matters most. A genuine welfare emergency, a family violence call, a child at risk. You stand aside immediately and let them do the thing the power exists to do. This video teaches the ordinary knock. The All States line, tonight is New South Wales law, with Victoria and Queensland marked at the borders, and SAWA, Tasmania, NT, and the ACT each run their own entry powers. Check the rules where your door actually is. Two neighbours never to become, one line each. The doormat who hears welfare and opens up to anyone. And the barricader who blocks a genuine emergency. One breath now, the threshold held properly. Every one of these, the tricks, the doorways, the words, I've gathered into a book called Know Your Rights, link in the description. So one breath, 4 real doorways, a warrant, an arrest, an emergency, your consent. Everything else that arrives on your porch is one of 5 tricks, the same 4 doorways, faked. Your threshold is worth more than they're betting you know. This is general information, not legal advice. If a knock goes past a conversation, the video ends and a lawyer begins. Legal aid exists in every state. Subscribe, not for luck, for the next knock. So the next doorstep in your street meets someone who already knows which side of the line to stand on, and take the ending you just earned. The porch light clicking off, the boots fading down the path, and the threshold strip still under your feet, exactly where it always was. A line in the floor that turned out to be the strongest thing in the house. One door over, another porch light comes on. Another knock is about to test another line. But when the hand at your door isn't asking to come in, when it's asking for the phone in your pocket, that's a different trap entirely, with an $11,000 answer hiding inside it. That video's on your screen now.